Hello, hello. I said hello twice because this is the second vid, and not because I'm flagrantly ripping off Plague of Gripes. Chris again, here to talk about my comic, as well as a little about my videos, because having listened back to my previous video, my main goals for this video are 1. Stop saying video quite so much. 2. Say less. Don't stop saying it altogether because that would be ludicrous, but if I can keep it in the triple digits at least, I feel like that would be a big step forward for me. And lastly, try to say like less, because although everybody probably suspects that I'm a vapid, empty valley girl, I don't really need to be giving people such concrete confirmation, so I'm going to try to improve my videos in those ways. Not to say that that will make them perfect by any means, but I'm shooting for more tolerable at the moment. But okay, enough about the previous video. Here's the comic page you've been watching a time-lapse of. So this first panel was supposed to be an establishing shot. It's supposed to establish the fact that the characters have moved inside this live-in pharmacy, live-in general practitioners. It's supposed to be a small-town doctor's house where he also sees patients. I probably could have done more to establish that, like show it during working hours, show people coming in and out of it, but like I said in the previous video, I didn't want to add stuff if I could avoid it. I certainly didn't want to rewrite the opening and add whole pages of stuff that's ultimately pretty inconsequential to the story of the first chapter, but I digress. My intention with the first panel of this page, I believe it was panel number 5 on the previous page before the reshuffle? But yeah, my intention was to show they were inside this medical type place without having a big wide establishing shot, because I didn't want to reveal the main character yet. And that's the thing really, I wanted to show that the main character was in this location, but I didn't want to reveal it to be him yet. And I also didn't really like the idea of drawing him in shadows because I thought it might confuse things with a flashback later on in the chapter, which I'll go into later. But yeah, so the result is this panel that was supposed to be a medicine type bottle, and in its reflection you see the doctor working on the main character's arm injury. First problem, it's not a great likeness. If you tell someone the blob on the right of the bottle is the back of the doctor, and the black dot on the tip of his moustache is the bullet wound of the guy, someone might go, oh okay, I see it, which... And I probably don't need to tell you that establishing shots kinda need to speak for themselves. It feels like it eliminates the point of working in a visual medium if I were to say have a text box saying, inside the GP, the doctor surgery, like, my drawings should really speak for themselves, and they really weren't in this instance. Secondly, the image in question, which was already not very clear, was going to be a lot smaller when viewed on a phone, so yeah. I needed some extra panels. I kept this one that I did because waste not, want not, I guess. Plus it does an okay enough job of establishing that we're in a place with medicine. The preceding panels were just to re-establish that we're in a new-ish location. It's a re-establishing shot, if you will. Fully understand if you won't. As you'll see in the following vids and the rest of the episode, if you've seen the Webtoon / Tapas episodes, Wanted Jack and Die, check it out. To reduce the amount of panels of talking heads in white voids, I tend to make a wallpaper pattern and reuse it. I didn't do that here, instead opting for the aforementioned void, but with the occasional shelf of bottles behind them, because there's like a separate room that connects to the room they're currently in that you'll see in a later page soon, and in that room, like, it also has wallpaper, so my concern was that the spaces would kind of blend into one and it wouldn't be clear. Overall, I'm happy enough with these. If I were to redo them, I think I could show my physical spaces a bit better and clearer, but as I've said before, it gets the job done. You know, there was an outside of a building, then a page turn, or in the case of the scrolling episodes, a big gap in the panels. and now we're seeing a shelf of bottles with the same medical cross on them as the sign that was outside, along with the guy now sporting a stethoscope. I know this probably seems like a lot of stressing out over little details, but I'm really not an inherently visual thinker. I got my degree in script writing, and while you do absolutely have to think visually when writing scene description, it's a big leap from that to storyboarding, essentially. Storyboarding plus also working around your limitations as a draftsman. So yeah, for all the people screaming silently at the fact that my work has much bigger problems than my establishing shots, I know and I'm aware, but this is the main thing I had to tackle when I was redoing this page and the previous page. So a minute ago I mentioned page turns, and that would have been a great segue into talking about the page turn moment of this page, but I instead rambled needlessly for a while and culminated in bad-mouthing my own work, which is just super in terms of self-marketing. But anyway, the page turn of this page, that was originally going to be the page turn of the last page, it's just a guy looking shocked. I know that isn't some big, amazing, nail-biting cliffhanger, but it is also spectacularly early on in the story, and I think, like, big what the fuck moments in the teaser of the pilot are great. I love me some Breaking Bad, but I think a lot of series run into the danger of making it too melodramatic or too over the top. So much so that the audience and reader kinda anticipates that it's going to be a 2 weeks earlier type deal where the action excitement is actually a ways and you're going to have to wade through some world building and setup before you get to that exciting part. And as a wise man once said,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
It's just that with a few exceptions, I personally don't really like those kinds of openings. I like my series to start as chronologically as possible, and since I'm trying to utilize good storytelling practices while also writing this quote-unquote for myself, I decided to make this early page turn with the mindset of it needs to raise a question that leads the reader to turn the page to see the answer. That's it. The question I try to raise is, what does the doctor see that makes him stop talking and that makes his eyes go wide? Like, what does he see that's so shocking? In order for that page turn to work though, I'm really banking on the audience treating the doctor as an avatar for this first part of the chapter. He's the first person the audience sees. He seems very nice, and he's trying his best to save this stranger who turned up on his doorstep and woke him up in the middle of the night. I'm hoping that's enough for the audience to kind of insert themselves in his place, or at the very least be somewhat invested in what happens to him, so that they by extension become invested in the mystery and potential danger of the scene and the situation. So yeah, hopefully it worked. As I mentioned in the previous video, page turn moments are slightly less important in my first 2 episodes because they're about 5-ish pages stuck together, but I feel like having those moments helps keep up the pace of the story, so I still think it's good to think in those terms. And like I said, if I ever go the traditional printing route with the series, then, win-win. I don't have a lot else to say about this page. I'm happy enough with it, although looking back at it now, I'm wondering if I would have been better off leaving in that close-up on the bloody gunshot wound, but which I think is actually on the previous page, but ultimately, I don't think I really nailed how to do monochrome blood streaming out of flesh and stained coarse fabric anyway, so but yeah, those are my main talking points for this video done with. If you've enjoyed this time-lapse with commentary all over it, then good news! There's going to be a new one of these every Sunday. I actually remembered to mention it in the video this time. If you think the stuff I'm drawing looks interesting, then you can check it out on Tapas and Webtoon. It's called Wanted, Jack and Die. It's currently under Crime Mystery, and I want to say Supernatural? Possibly Thriller, probably not. It's definitely in Crime Mystery, so please don't hesitate to check it out if you feel so inclined. And if you really like my stuff, I have a Patreon where I post behind the scenes, update blogs, as well as scrolling episodes and videos a week early. So yeah, the links for all that stuff will hopefully be in the description. Thanks for watching my stuff, and I'll see you in a couple of days.